Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Story number 1, Let Sleeping Dogs Lie, written by Benny W.M.H. To venture into the blighted arm of the galaxy was to court death. No vessels that traveled through that region of space ever returned, and no drones survived even brief excursions into the spiral arm. No one knew what was going on in that region of space, save for the fact something did not want to be disturbed. For thousands of cycles, no one had dared near the blighted arm's borders, such as they were clearly demarcated in the nav systems of every ship. The galaxy was plenty big enough for all civilizations to make their living in, and we were all content to leave whatever lived in the blighted arm well enough alone. Until, of course, a young race joined us amongst the stars. It had too many cycles since the new race had made a leap to FTL, so we greeted these new friends with much fanfare. We invited them to join us at the table of races. We made space for an embassy for them at the galactic core, and we fully embraced their attempts to integrate into the shared economy. This new race was industrious, friendly, and tolerant. They were a breath of fresh air in galactic affairs that had become just a little too predictable. What we soon found out was that this race was also adventurous. Even before they left their planet, these bipeds had been prodigious wanderers of their world. A strong urge to explore and seek out the unknown had embedded itself in the species' collective psyche, and the discovery of FTL travel pushed that desire into overdrive. Looking back, perhaps we also played a part in the decision to explore the blighted arm. Our friendliness appeared to have convinced this new race that all intelligent life tended towards cooperation and amicability. When the young race learned about the enigma of the blighted arm, they set about trying to unravel the mysteries almost immediately. They heeded our advice initially and observed only from afar. However, they soon discovered what we already knew. The blighted arm did not return signals that originated from outside of it. What we could see was darkness where stars should be, and silence where life should have been found otherwise. Industrious energy becomes misguided enthusiasm when not guided by the right motivations. The bipeds, in their quest to learn more about what has happened within the arm, started building expeditionary fleets to explore the unknown region of space. Their rationale was simple. If no one was willing to try and colonize the spiral arm, then anything they found there would belong to the first race to plant a flag. We tried to talk them out of it, of course. We even gave them full access to the old records of other races trying to enter the arm. But they were not to be dissuaded. They had already pored over all the scant information we had, and one record in particular had caught their attention. It was the earliest known account of the contact with the blighted arm, and the record was millions of cycles old. It had been reformatted and rewritten through countless different information storage mediums and hundreds of different languages, so its contents was now regarded as more myth than historical truth. The record recounted a galaxy-spanning conflict, one in which one race stood against many. The war ended with the death spiral of many races of the galaxy, their ruins and technology left behind forming the basis of our technology today, and what we call the myth of the precursors. Of the one race, however, nothing was mentioned beyond that it retreated back into the spiral arm of the galaxy from whence it came. That region of space we call today the blighted arm. The young bipeds, themselves a denizen of the galactic arm, reasoned that whatever mythical race now resided within the blighted arm must descend from that mysterious race from eons ago. The galaxy was now a very different place, filled with very different people. If contact could be made with that mysterious race, so much of our shared history could be gained. The first few fleets that ventured into the arm met a predictable end. Contact was lost soon after the ships exited FTL within the arm, and no attempt to retrieve the lost ships ever met with success. Then, the explorers did something that had never occurred to us. They started their expeditions with declarations of friendship before any fleet exited FTL. They sent an armada of drones proclaiming peaceful intentions and offers of friendship in every linguistic and mathematical variation possible. It was not long before they achieved a success. Their fleets were not only not destroyed, but they were allowed to transit information back out of the arm unmolested. We had suddenly gained vision into a region of space that had been opaque for us for our collective memories, and we looked upon a nightmare. There was darkness where its stars should have been, not because something obscuring the stars. It was because something had eaten them. There was no evidence of life in the region, because it could support none. Every planet and a planetoid in the arm had been cracked open, flung from orbit like marbles thrown by children. In between the masses of stellar materials, space itself had been ripped apart, and in the void between the ravaged celestial landscapes lay the husks of ships and uncountable numbers. Even a layperson could understand what had happened here. War. War on such a scale that the oldest races amongst us could not comprehend. War between living beings who had the ability to consume entire stars as batteries and use planets as projectiles. War between races who sought to destroy not just fleets, but the every material space that the fleets occupied. The table of races' reaction was immediate and unanimous. All expeditionary fleets were to pull out of the blighted arm at once, and we had to deliberate a cohesive and amiable response to the intelligences within the arm as possible. Whatever lived in there was too old, too powerful, too unknowable for us to make any rash moves when communicating with it. Unfortunately, an errant captain from one of the biped ships decided that staking a claim to the mineral-dense asteroid was his prerogative. The moment the flag entered the dusty surface of the rock, all communications with ships within the arm ceased. Our vision was cut, though not completely. Massive fluctuations of energy were detected all across the blighted arm. Power generated beyond what we were capable of harnessing in totality. We had awoken something within the arm. We had violated our welcome into its home. Only one glimpse of information was ever recovered from the fleets that attempted the expedition. One ship had made it out, its crew driven insane by what they had experienced within the arm. There was nothing to be learned from the crew, but on one of their star charts was marked a star system far out in the spiral arm of the Blight. Other than the coordinates of the system, there was no other data about what was found, except for one line of text translated into almost every language known in the galaxy. So, here there be dragons. End of story. Story number 2. Humanity United, written by Totally a Ninja. Humanity United is a phrase many thought impossible. Most laugh at the notion, as humanity was most divided of any race across the known cosmos. Their first contact was frayed as different factions vied for the position, eventually resulting in an unprecedented several first contacts with the different factions of humans. Their very arrival into the galactic foray was due to the race between several factions to expand. A faction for every possible reason, every culture, belief, and cause. The only thing keeping the peace was the Galaxia Humanity Proclamation, created with oversight from the Galactic Council. For the universe was a wide, all life should be allowed to let live. A long and boring document summarized as simply, do what you wish with your own corner, space is big enough for all of us, harass another, and the rest will crush you. This simple policy that is held true. When bigots of all fashions eventually built up enough numbers, they would be routinely crushed, and the rest of humanity would move on. Some claimed this Humanity United. Others would say that its best truce and worst a fluke. Life across the galaxy continued on. Treaties and organizations were created and lost by the cycle. It was rare to go a day without some incidents between two human factions. For every species and culture, there was a human that would align with them. The warrior races of varying morality could always find a match worth fighting amongst the humans. From those who fought to the death for honor to those who simply wished to test their mettle and hone their blades with the like-minded. The political factions were crushed to the wayside as humanity had a faction for both sides of every topic. Galactic conventions and meetings were often a screaming match between humans representing one another. Debates and policies were challenged and tested by the day. Those that failed were tossed aside, and the Galactic Council's efficacy improved greatly. The merchants were filled with glee as every faction needed or desired different things. Whole markets developed just to handle human trade. Some companies gaining enough influence to rival nations. Goods of all kinds were needed everywhere. Restrictions provided opportunity to a clever and daring. They weren't united, and everyone was happy about it. Until one day, a broadcast was heard on all networks. A few simple lines, and the entirety of humanity rose in unison, the greatest movement of sentient life in centuries. Soul is lost. I repeat, soul is gone. It has been a nova sparked. Pluto Junction, Persephone's garden, bids humanity goodbye. The message continues in static, as a live broadcast gets the message out before they faded. No other message was received. Presumably, the nuclear fission frayed any earlier attempts. Humanity moved en masse. Human-ran ships abandoned their original purpose and made for Sol instantly. Mutinies, hijacking, and hitchhiking occurred everywhere to acquire a ship. Enemies laid down their weapons of choice, boarded ships together, and sat in silence for the journey. The loss of a cradle system was always devastating. Whilst not all cared for it, they all understood the significance. A few chose to stay where they were and ignored the migration, but they were all in mourning. They were eventually found surrounding the last known position of the system. The entire region littered with fresh asteroid fields, slowly beginning to enter a stable orbit. Their star too small to condense into a black hole. The mourning lasted a year in human time, from the moment the message was received to the exact time a year later. They were solemn and silent, rarely interacting with any other than human. It was sobering to see, to say the least. Humanity united in mourning. When the year ended, the day was declared a cultural holiday. Remembrance Day, it was called. A meeting was requested by human representatives. Many was curious as to what they would finally say after such a period. We expected to see a solemn and pained expression. We were ready to comfort and appease them. We hoped to go back to what we were used to, however slow the progress would have been. We prepared for an entire year. Humanity greeted us with vengeance in their eyes. They had done their own preparations. They moved on from the first 3 sentences. They now focused on the 4th. Humanity united in wrath and bloody vengeance. It didn't take long to find the perpetrators. A united humanity had the resources of all the factions pooled, their skills, perspectives, and connections all pushed towards one goal. Allies showed up before words were asked. Favors were called in. The rest stood out of the way. Humanity united and wiped the perpetrators off the cosmos. There were some who eventually called for mercy. They were ignored. Humanity united was terrifying. Humanity eventually returned to what they knew them as, splintered and diverse. But we remembered what they were like when they were one. Every year, we remembered as every human took a moment or the whole day to mourn. We hoped that we would never again see humanity united. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Lord Azrakal, Dragzoon WRE, Holly Sister, Ambrose Cattell, and Quantum Wednesday. Thank you very much.